Hey, perhaps I've been doing this all wrong. My name is Amy Cerny Vasterling, and I have a forthcoming book. I know you say that, and people are like, click, I'm going to move on, but don't move on quite yet. If you're interested in what's going on in the United States, hang on in there with me because I believe I'm going to have some keys that are going to help you stay more calm in this ever-changing environment that is honestly fucking terrifying. Sorry to use that word. Let's use a word from the Irish instead, fecking, okay? So I wanted to say this. I have been a person who I'm quick and open to looking at my blind spots or my places that I'm not seeing where I'm understanding all people or so on. And in my work, the results of collapsing narcissism, which is my work, is natural equality. And that is not what we think it is. It is not anything that we've been doing already. We have been doing it, but we haven't been doing it overtly. And it is not something that we've been taught as how to have equality. So I'm not going to get to that exactly today, but I'm pointing out that when we have something we don't understand about ourselves, we can look at it objectively and hang with it until that power of it being a frustration or a hatred or whatever it is neutralizes, right? So in this message, I am going to say now that thank you to all of the service people in the military who have served the United States military, either locally, nationally, internationally, or beyond. Thank you for your service. Thank you for standing up for our country because you know what I know, and this is where I had a massive misunderstanding inside of myself. A lot of you didn't want to go. And while many of you did, and you said, I will do this and I'm willing, there are people that have been in wars who stood up for our country and fought who didn't want to. They didn't believe in it. That is quite something. It is a lifetime of carrying that with you. And for you and for all service people, thank you for protecting our democracy. You have done well by us. And now is a time when things are changing. So what I want to point to is we are now the soldiers in America, whether we want to be or we don't want to be. And I don't mean that you and I are going to go out and take guns and fight. Absolutely not. I'm not going to do that. And there are people that can, and if they need, they will. I'm not going to go there. It's actually none of my business, right? But we need to protect our democracy right here daily. And I don't think that we're looking at that. And we can think of ourselves like the soldier who didn't want to go to the Vietnam War. I mean, there are many wars I could say I don't think that people believed in and they or believed were just causes for us to be sending people to literally die. That's awful, right? So I want us to take a look at who we are and find that strength inside to recognize you and I and all people that believe in democracy as being for the people, all the people, representing us in a way that creates fairness, has a judicial system that is right and strong for our people and fair and just. We just want a justice system that's just. Oh my God. That's what we are doing right now is we are standing up. And there are some people who might feel they can't stand up for a whole host of reasons, and you got to. You've got to. There may be people, even I have been a person who said this, which is, we've got to protect these groups and so on. You know what? Maybe those groups need to stand up with us, right? And say, no, this is who I am. Because I'll tell you this, let's go to my work, okay? In my work, if we have fear, which is what we all have because this world is so turbulent, and we might say, I'm not afraid of it. But then, person, you are a bit in the dark because there is a lot of fear mongering and chaos. And I'm not against change. I'm open to an America that changes completely. I think that might be good, but I am not open to it happening this way through hatred in the way that it will affect and harm people. I'm not okay with that at all. So we want to look at, oh, here we go. I lost my little train of thought for a second. Let's pause. I'm just going to head into my notes that we need to start speaking up more and out, writing, organizing, and being a catalyst for that change, the change we want to see in the way that we want to see it. And now is like your time, but it's also my time to speak up and speak out. And just because I'm on here making videos doesn't mean I'm saying, do it with me, please. No, I'm saying what I see is in order for us to create connectivity, we need the masses of people to come out and work together so that we can actually change things and create a safe world. I mean, let's say world. I really think that's what we're doing. I mean, there's a video that I reposted from the Anne Frank house, and it says that 70 in, I don't know what year, like let's say 2021, 70% of the world is under autocracy in their country. And prior to that, it was like 49% in so many years ago, 2011, I think. So we want to look at that. Why is it increasing? Well, perhaps we can say we are at this epic moment where we are disallowing others to put their trauma onto us. And therefore, when we stand up, what we're really saying is, no, you can handle your trauma. No, so that they have to feel the weight of the consequence of their actions. Okay. Pro tip 2, this is something that I think is a good summation of a lot of the things that I've said, is humor is a good tool to dismantle anger. The two go hand in hand, which is very odd, correct? I know it is very odd. But there's a young adult author, Richard Peck. He's no longer living. I think he died in 2018. And he's quoted in saying, humor is anger that has gone to finishing school. Think about that. Okay, I hope that this video has helped, and I hope that it's inspired you to think about ways that you can activate your community. One more thing that I'm going to say is one way to activate your community could be as simple as, if you're in an apartment complex, meeting all your neighbors and getting organized within that small community, saying, who's a nurse, who's a doctor, who's a person that works in public, they know, or who's a plumber, and what skill sets do you have to support each other, come what may, and also how do you rely on each other as a community, right? How can you support each other in ways you didn't expect? If you open that conversation and start bringing it to that degree, not only do you meet your neighbors, I had a neighbor who was a nationalist, let's just say. And over the course of, it was quite a long time, I asked for help, and I slowly eased in. And by the time that relationship was no longer available to me, because I was not living there anymore, the person had come full circle to see things very differently. So that change can happen through conversation. And that was my point earlier. Let's bring it up. So when we have fear, we will not self-express, which is over here. Okay, so we have fear, we will not self-express. And the problem is vulnerability. If we have fear, we use vulnerability, and then we will self-express. I went to that neighbor and I said, hey, I need help. And he said, okay, that was my vulnerability. And then I moved into self-expression with this person. However, energetically, that's not been on our side so well for a long time, right? So we've been struggling in that we tried to be vulnerable and we'd get knocked down but the energy's on our side, and that's why we can stand up to the person that, the car or the shopping cart almost went into the car, that story that I shared. This is why we can stand up. The energy is on our side, and we can be with our power in that way. That sounds kind of silly, but we want to move out of fear. We want to use vulnerability, and self-expression is where we're headed. There's more to that in my work, but it's not important for right now. It's the vulnerability piece with the guy that, had the car that was almost hit, the vulnerability piece with your neighbors, and saying, hey, I think if we can get organized in our community right here, then maybe we can move out 2 blocks. I mean, when I was young and had young children, I thought, I was in a community of 60,000, which I thought, well, that's a great size community to do pilot programs. And what if instead of having the medical system the way it is, what if we had a nurse for every, I don't know, I'm making this up, but I always thought in my head 1,000 patients. But then there were 60 of those nurses in that community, and they could communicate together to say, oh, we're seeing this reoccurrence. Oh, and we're seeing more of it over here. So that we start to deduce and pull the patterns tighter to understand our community. And the nurses then could say, you should go to this doctor. You should go. Like, there would be actually really good advocacy because the nurses know their patients. They have the emotional, positioning to say, okay, here's what's happening chemically and so on, but here's also what my sense is about your family based on the history and what I know. So that there really is an incredible degree of advocacy. It's the same thinking, is if we know who is right there in our community who can help us, we're going to feel a lot more safe. We're also, if all hell breaks loose, let's hope it doesn't, we know we are in it together. And that is far more powerful and gives us the opportunity to not be so afraid and every man for themselves, which has been what's happening, or every person for themselves rather, but instead that we feel this, we're willing to be vulnerable in that situation, which seems crazy to be vulnerable if somebody's trying to attack you or something crazy is happening. Not that I'm saying that's going to happen, but we can move through and move into self-expression, and self-expression is undeniably a powerhouse for us. So once we're in that, we're going to be more calm by nature. We're going to know more what to do. And even when we don't have that immediacy of, I know what to do, we will come back to it, and have little tidbits that come. So we trust and we move into it. It's a process. We're learning our way back to what is our power. That's kind of weird. I don't like to talk that way so much because I think it's confusing as a human, to be honest. I think it puts importance on things that aren't necessarily as important as we think they are. All right, I've said a lot. I hope that that helps to lay some foundation and understanding of really what we can do as a community, as well as we are the soldiers in this battle, in this undoing. And that's appropriate, even though I get it. I didn't want to sign up for this. It might feel scary, but we can do this. We really can. Okay. And I'm going to say it one more time. I think I already said it here because I think I thought I was going to finish, but I promise I won't keep talking. Is that together, let's collapse narcissism, because in truth, it serves no one, not even the narcissist. Might seem like it did. It does not. All right. Thanks. And like, follow, share. I'm trying to get this right. Do all the things. Let your friends know. Okay. Thanks.